Let me tell you about the scariest night of my life. It happened at an amusement park that seemed innocent enough during the day, but turned into a nightmare as the sun set. I had always loved thrill rides, so when I heard about a special event at the park that promised spine-tingling scares, I jumped at the chance to go. As I entered the park that evening, an eerie atmosphere seemed to settle over the place. The laughter and excited chatter of the daytime crowds had given way to a tense anticipation that sent shivers down my spine. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The first few rides were exhilarating, the darkness adding an extra layer of intensity to the twists and turns. But as I wandered deeper into the park, drawn by the glow of eerie lights and distant screams, I stumbled upon the entrance to the haunted house ride, a dilapidated mansion with a sinister aura. Ignoring the warning signs flashing in my mind, I joined the line of eager thrill seekers. The line moved quickly, and soon I found myself seated in a rickety cart, heart pounding in anticipation. The ride began innocently enough, with spooky animatronics and eerie sound effects. But then, the ride took a sinister turn. The cart veered into a pitch-black corridor, and the atmosphere grew suffocatingly tense. I strained my ears to catch any sound, any clue as to what was coming next. Suddenly, the cart jolted to a halt, plunging me into darkness. My breath caught in my throat as a spotlight illuminated a scene that will forever haunt my nightmares. A grotesque clown leered at me from the shadows, its face twisted into a sinister grin. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly malevolence as it beckoned me forward with a clawed hand. Fear rooted me to my seat, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from those piercing eyes. The cart jerked forward again, moving deeper into the nightmarish maze. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread settled over me like a heavy fog. The clown's laughter echoed in my ears, a haunting melody that sent chills down my spine. I wanted to scream, to beg for the ride to end, but my voice failed me. The cart continued its relentless journey through the maze, each twist and turn bringing me closer to the heart of darkness. The walls seemed to close in around me, and I could feel the weight of the clown's malevolent presence pressing down on me. Just when I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the ride lurched to a stop. The lights flickered back on, and I found myself back at the entrance of the haunted house ride. My heart raced, and I stumbled out of the cart, my legs shaky and weak. I glanced around, half expecting to see the clown lurking in the shadows, but there was nothing. The other riders seemed equally shaken, their faces pale and eyes wide with terror. As I made my way out of the ride, I couldn't shake the feeling that the clown's laughter still echoed in my ears, a chilling reminder of the horrors I had witnessed. After the unsettling encounter in the haunted house ride, I was already on edge, but little did I know that the true horrors were yet to come. Leaving the haunted house behind, I wandered through the dimly lit pathways of the park. The atmosphere seemed to grow even more oppressive, as if the very air was charged with an unnatural energy. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes followed my every move. As I walked, the sound of distant laughter and screams filled the air, blending with the unsettling background music to create a cacophony of dread. I tried to shake off my unease and enjoy the rest of the park, but my heart remained heavy with a sense of impending doom. I found myself drawn to a large tent at the far end of the park. A sign proclaimed it to be a freak show spectacular, promising a display of the bizarre and supernatural. Against my better judgment, I entered the tent, curiosity getting the best of me. The interior was dimly lit, the air thick with the smell of sawdust and something more sinister. As I walked past cages containing strange and unsettling exhibits, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread deep in my gut. Each step seemed to take me further into a nightmare. And then I saw him, the clown. He stood in the center of the tent, a sinister grin stretching across his painted face. His eyes locked onto mine, and a shiver ran down my spine. I tried to turn away, to flee from the tent, but it was as if an invisible force held me in place. The clown's laughter filled the air, a haunting melody that seemed to burrow into my mind. I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me, my vision swimming as if reality itself was warping and bending. I stumbled backwards, desperate to escape the clown's gaze, but my legs felt like lead. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the laughter stopped. The clown's grin twisted into a menacing scowl, and he raised a hand towards me. I felt a surge of energy, a shock that jolted me back to my senses. With a burst of adrenaline, I turned and fled from the tent, the sound of the clown's laughter echoing in my ears. I stumbled out into the night, gasping for breath as I tried to make sense of what had just happened. My heart pounded in my chest, and a cold sweat coated my skin. The amusement park, once a place of fun and excitement, had transformed into a realm of terror and darkness. I knew I had to get out of there, to escape the clutches of whatever malevolent force had taken hold of the park. As I made my way towards the exit, I glanced back one last time, half expecting to see the clown's sinister figure lurking in the shadows. But there was nothing. The park lay silent and still, as if the horrors I had witnessed were nothing more than a figment of my imagination. I stumbled out of the gates and into the cool night air, relief flooding over me as I left the nightmare behind. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the clown's laughter still echoes in my mind, a chilling reminder of the horrors I experienced that night. I've never been back to that amusement park, and I doubt I ever will. The memories of that night are seared into my mind, a constant reminder that sometimes, the line between fun and fear is far thinner than we realize. And there you have it, the tale of the scariest night of my life at the amusement park. A night that will forever haunt my dreams and make my heart race at the mere mention of a clown. Gather around, my friends, for I have a bone-chilling tale to share, a story that will make your heart race and your skin crawl. It was a moonless night, the kind that sinks into your bones and fills the air with an unsettling stillness. I found myself standing before the rusted gates of an abandoned amusement park, a place that had long been forgotten by time and engulfed by shadows. The park had once been a place of joy and laughter, a haven for families and thrill-seekers alike. But as I ventured deeper into its decaying heart, a sense of dread crept over me. The rides, once vibrant and alive with color, now stood as skeletal remains against the night sky. The air was thick with the scent of rust and decay, and a chorus of creaks and whispers echoed through the deserted pathways. My footsteps seemed to echo endlessly as I explored the desolate park. The ground was littered with broken glass and fallen leaves, and the ghostly glow of the moon cast eerie shadows that danced around me. A sense of foreboding settled over me, as if the very ground beneath my feet held secrets best left undiscovered. As I ventured further, a carousel caught my eye, its ornate horses frozen in a perpetual state of motionlessness. The music that once accompanied their graceful dance had long been silenced, replaced by an eerie silence broken only by the whispering wind. A shiver ran down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. It was then that I heard it, a faint, distant laughter that seemed to float on the air. My heart quickened as I followed the sound, my footsteps carrying me toward an old, decrepit funhouse. Its faded paint and broken windows exuded an aura of malevolence, yet an irresistible pull drew me closer. I entered the funhouse, the air within heavy with a suffocating stillness. The mirrors that adorned the walls were warped and distorted, reflecting twisted versions of myself that seemed to mock my presence. The laughter grew louder, a cacophony of eerie amusement that seemed to reverberate through the very walls. And then I saw him, a figure standing at the far end of the funhouse, his silhouette cast in shadow. His laughter filled the air, a chilling symphony that sent a chill down my spine. My heart raced as I called out, demanding to know who he was and why he haunted this forsaken place. But he remained shrouded in darkness, his laughter growing louder and more manic with every passing moment. Panic seized me, and I turned to flee, desperate to escape the grasp of this nightmarish specter. As I raced back through the funhouse, the mirrors seemed to twist and contort, distorting my reflection into a grotesque mockery. I burst out of the funhouse and stumbled into the moonlit night, my breath ragged and my heart pounding. The amusement park loomed around me, a realm of darkness and decay that held secrets beyond my comprehension. And as I caught my breath and turned to look back, the figure was gone, swallowed by the shadows like a phantom of the night. As I stood there, breathless and shaken, I couldn't shake the feeling that the laughter still lingered in the air, a haunting echo that refused to fade. I knew I couldn't leave the park without unraveling the mystery of that sinister figure, the source of the malevolent presence that seemed to infest every corner of this forsaken place. Determined to confront whatever darkness lurked within, I ventured deeper into the abandoned amusement park. The moonlight cast eerie shadows on the rusted rides and dilapidated attractions, transforming them into twisted shapes that seemed to come alive in the night. The air was thick with a palpable tension, as if the very atmosphere itself held its breath, waiting for what would come next. I stumbled upon an old Ferris wheel, its metal skeleton rising like a monolith against the sky. The seats dangled precariously from their chains, swaying gently in the wind. I hesitated, my gaze fixated on the empty seats that seemed to beckon me. With a deep breath, I climbed aboard, the creaking of the chains beneath me sending a shiver down my spine. As I ascended higher into the night, the park spread out below me like a desolate wasteland. The darkness seemed to devour everything in its path, swallowing memories and laughter until all that remained was a haunting silence. And then, just as I reached the apex of the Ferris wheel, I saw him again, the figure from the funhouse, standing at the edge of my vision. His form was barely visible, a shadow within shadows, yet his presence was undeniable. His laughter echoed through the night, a chilling melody that seemed to seep into my very soul. Anger and determination welled up within me, and I shouted out, demanding answers. Who was he, and why was he tormenting me? But he only laughed, his voice a haunting symphony that echoed through the night air. With a surge of adrenaline, I swung myself out of the Ferris wheel seat and onto the platform, determined to confront this malevolent presence face to face. As I approached him, his laughter grew louder, filling my ears until it was all I could hear. And then, in an instant, he was gone, a wisp of darkness that vanished into thin air, leaving me standing alone in the moonlit night. The park seemed to sigh with relief, the tension in the air dissipating as if the very essence of the place had exhaled. I knew in my heart that I had confronted a force beyond human understanding, a presence that defied explanation and reason. As I made my way back through the abandoned amusement park, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed into a world beyond our own, a realm of darkness and malevolence that thrived in the forgotten corners of our reality. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the decaying rides and attractions, a final testament to the beauty that once existed in this place. And as I passed through the rusted gates and left the haunted park behind, I knew that I had faced a darkness that few would ever comprehend. The laughter, the figure, the eerie silence, they would forever be etched in my memory, a chilling reminder of the night I ventured into the heart of an abandoned amusement park and confronted a presence that defied the boundaries of our world.